Oh, you need to unmute yourself.
How many times do I tell people that and I still don't get it myself? So thank you very much to the Topical Thursday group, Bonnie and Jane and Darcy, for everything that they did with this invitation. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share this information. What I plan to do today is, and thank you to all of you who are there in the library, along with those of you on the Zoom. I plan to take about 20 or 25 minutes and talk about what's on the ballot and how it got there. Those two things are not easy to separate, so they will probably kind of get commingled as I go along. This is the first time I've done a presentation with the technology and using the website. I've done a lot of Zooms, but I haven't really gone and gotten information off the internet to share. So let's hope that this works. I appreciate your patience. Jane and Darcy and I did a trial run the other day and it seemed to work pretty well. So let's hope I can remember what to do. Like Darcy said, if you're on the Zoom and you have questions, please put them in the chat. Jane will be kind of taking a look at those. And if you are in the library, please write your questions on cards and circulate them. It's something that we many times do for a variety of reasons. First of all, being the League of Women Voters, we're interested in people being registered to vote because you can't vote if you're not registered. And I'm sure everyone on this call or in the audience realizes that the deadline for voter registration was October 4th. So if someone is not registered, they can get registered, but they will not be able to vote till the next election. But if people have moved, and this has been the year of a lot of people moving, if they have moved but they were registered, it's my understanding when you go to the polls, you'll get a provisional ballot, you'll get registered at your new address, and hopefully that provisional will count. I had an opportunity last year with a lady just like that, and her provisional did get counted. So don't feel bad if you did move. Just a word about voter registration. I'm a big proponent to, I'm willing to register voters, and we do a lot of that, but I'm a bigger proponent to getting out the vote. So I want people to know what's on their ballot and go out and actually exercise that. So I'm going to share some screens with information. We're going to go into the website so you can take a look at your own personal ballot on your own. Realize that there's a couple hundred different ballots in Lucas County, and I don't know where you all are from. I don't know which precinct. There's 313 precincts, and they're all different, but there's a lot of difference in those. So just be aware, I may not show your ballot today. Just in this exercise, but I will show you how you can find your ballot. First, let me share what the offices are that are going to be running in this election around the county. So on the ballot in the general election, you'll see that we have a mayor in 3 different cities. We have city council in 5 different cities. We have village councils in 3 different villages, and then we have township trustees in a number of areas, and we have school district board of elections in a number of different cities and areas. So these are the offices that are going to be on the various ballots that are out there. That's why it's not easy to show a specific ballot necessarily. In addition to, and I don't think I put the one, there's one for a judge. The person's running unopposed, and so I did not include that one, but these are the candidates that will hopefully be on various people's ballots. In addition to the candidates, you will see that there will be issues. We have 12 different issues in Lucas County. And so depending on who you are, where you are, what precinct or whatever, you will see some of these or some, you will see a variety of these. So let me show you a list of the issues. You'll notice that I highlighted the first three, which are county issues. These are property taxes, one for 911, one for the Imagination Station, and one for the zoo. In addition to that, so everyone in the county will get those three on their ballot. In addition to that, those in Toledo will see a charter amendment, which is meant to make some changes to the primary in the odd numbered municipal elections. In the odd years, which is 2021, this is a municipal election. There are no state or federal candidates running in this election. So this is unique. Every odd year, it's a municipal election. And in the past, we have had primaries in September for municipal elections. This past primary was just Toledo, but in the past, we've had other cities that have had, candidates running also. So this is an amendment that I believe City Council proposed to change the primaries to May. How does that read? The first Tuesday after the first Monday in May, yes. And so this is on the ballot for everyone in Toledo. Only people in Toledo will see that. Then you'll see the Village of Berkeley has a couple of property taxes. Monclova Township has a property tax. Springfield Township has a property tax. Swanton Local Schools, Swanton Public Library, Sylvania Area Recreation, and the last issue is TARTA, which is making the County of Lucas a member of the Toledo Area Regional Transit Authority. You will see this last one on not everyone in the county when I looked at it, but there's a significant number of people in the county. I don't think it had every single person, but it's going to include a lot of the precincts in Lucas County. So these are the issues that will show up on the respective ballots that need to be voted upon. And so we're asking people to, take a look at your ballot and see how that works. So let me drop this down, and then let me share with you another reference sheet that I'm going to go over a number of, now how did that happen? Okay, I'm going to go over a number of websites that I'm going to use today and show you what's in them. First of all, a little plug for us. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the TRI, which is They Represent You. And that is a booklet that has all the elected officials in it. Tells you when their term expires, how long they're in for. It starts at the local level and goes all the way up to the President of the United States. So that is in every library now, and we have a supply that we've made available at voter reg functions. So I have to move. Okay, I'm going to finish this. So we're going to look first at voteohio.gov. This is the one website where we direct voters to. It gets a lot of information to the voter if they need to check and see if they're registered, if they need to see what address they're registered at. So we're going to go take a look at that first so you can see what it is. Again, you can get to what information you want in a variety of ways. And then we're going to go look at the Lucas County, the Board of Elections website, which is called lucascountyohiovotes.gov. And that's where we're going to look at the ballot and see what the ballot, what my particular ballot's going to look like. You're going to get to see mine, but then we're going to go and look at some other stuff and we'll see a Toledo reference, okay? And then after we get done looking at my ballot, and I'll show you what's in there, then we're going to go to our league website. And on our league website is Vote 411. This is the voter guide that we have a group of people who have worked very long and hard hours to get information from the candidates. And I like to access it from our website, our local league's website. And so from that standpoint, we're going to go that way. You can go to vote411.org all by yourself. You just have to go through a few other things. Another tool that's out there that those of us that do voter reg kind of have on our phones is the Ohio Voter Information app. And this is an app on phones that you can get. And I'm going to share with you what comes up when you have that app. It's a free app, and we use it a lot for looking up people if we're out doing voter reg, if we're on the street, if we're at a family gathering, we can just quickly open up and see if people are registered. So those of us that do voter reg are always wanting to help people know where they're at in the scheme. Especially this year, 5,000 people were purged from the voter rolls or removed. We're not using the word purged as much anymore. They were removed for one, moving away, that makes sense, and two, missing 2 general elections. So that's what's going on. And my understanding is they're intending to form another list of anybody who missed the last 2 general elections. So that's an ongoing process here in Ohio. So if you do put the the app on your phone, this is what you will see. It's a really nice one because it's pictures, and you can just kind of look at it, quickly do it, and then click on it. This is a JPEG, so I can't use it. It's not real time. But you can see what's on that app. It's definitely a nice app to have. And so it is something that is handy to use from the phone standpoint. Okay, now, did that show up? Did the Vote Ohio app show up?
Yes.
Okay, because for some reason I lost the top of my screen. Screen sharing has stopped. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see about how we will check our registration.
Barb?
Yes.
Tell us the name of that app one more time, please. Whoops. You need to unmute.
Unmute. Okay. It's called Ohio Voter Info.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now let's go check a registration and see how the ballot works, or how we will see our ballot, I should say. Okay. That's not the one I want to use. Let's see, how do I get that? Okay. Hold on a second, I want to bring something. Well, this is what you'll get when you bring up voteohio.gov. I talked about that first. And this goes to the Secretary of State's website. So in order to check if I'm registered, I can go and click on check your registration. And it brings this up, and I put in my first and last name. And county, and it will bring up, naturally, doesn't work when you need it to. I think I know what I did. Very persnickety, has to have it all. And you have to spell it right. So it brings up your information. It tells you the various congressional districts, the Senate district, and the state rep. I, for one, don't know those numbers by heart. I don't commit those to memory. But I know that my congressional district is with Bob Latta. I know that my senator is Senator Fetter, Teresa Fetter, and I know that my state rep is Michael Sheehy. I just don't know these numbers, okay? There are, in Ohio, we have 33 senators and we have 99 representatives. So knowing all these districts, and there's a district for each one of them, is not something that's easy to know. Okay, so now I want to go back and bring up another page. Let's see here. I might have to, somehow I couldn't get to the one I wanted first, but that worked. Okay. Let's see if this works. This is where the technology, being able to do this, is the challenge. Okay. So if you go to the Board of Elections website, this is what the front of it looks like. And I had the address there. It's Lucas County, Ohio votes. And so this will come up, and what you need to know, I'm going to talk a little bit about who these people are. We have 4 Board of Election members. David Carmel is the chairman of the Board of Elections, and then there are 3 other members of that board. These members are appointed by the Secretary of State, and the way that they get on the board is the Democratic Party and the Republican Party will make recommendations, and the Secretary of State then appoints people to the board. There are 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans on that board. Working with them and for them, or doing a lot of the day-to-day work, is the director of the Board of Elections, which is Lavera Scott, and then the deputy director, who is Tim Monaco. They have 2-year appointments at the pleasure of the board. And every 2 years, there's a reorganization and they may continue. Lavera Scott has been there for many, many years. Tim Monaco just came on, I think maybe a couple years ago. I'm not sure when he started, but they are the people who basically do the work to get our ballots to us and to have the elections happen. And so they're listed here for that reason. And it's nice to know how that all works. Lynn Marshall and I go to the Board of Elections meetings, and on a regular basis, we take turns or go together, whatever works. And it is amazing to see what all goes on. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of that as we go. So on this page, there's voter information. And I check to see if I am registered. And I'm going to put in my name. And it brings me up this information about my address. This is my voting location, if I choose to go on November 2nd. And over here, you'll see that I can check to see if I have an absentee ballot submitted. What is my ballot? We're going to look at that in a second. How to become a poll worker. And if you wanted to print the absentee ballot, request the application, you can do that here. And then it shows me all of my elected officials who represent me, and then directions on how to get to my polling place. If I look under voting details, I will get a little bit of information, tells you about my voting history, goes into which precinct I belong to, I'm in, where's the place. And then these are all of my voting districts, all the different things that you see on that ballot. You don't know which one you're part of. This kind of explains it all. So let's go up here and take a look at the ballot. Now again, this is my ballot. It's Springfield Township. it's Springfield 6. And it shows up just like it would if I was going to the polls, whether early voting, and that started October 5th, or whether I go on November 2nd, or if I get an absentee ballot in the mail. This is what it's going to look like. So you'll see the people who I'm going to choose, who I'm going to vote for or not. Then you'll see here's issue 1. Back up here is issue 2. Remember I said 1, 2, and 3 are county issues, and they will be on everyone's ballot in Lucas County. And then Springfield has its own levy, okay, or its own levy. And then on page 2, and a lot of these are going to have 2 pages to them, no matter how small they are. Then this is the TARTA issue that's on the ballot. You'll notice that some of the, now these don't, okay, I'll look, okay. Some of the candidates, and there's evidently some kind of a requirement, I'm not sure what it all is. You'll see a write-in opportunity here. It's not, doesn't look like it's on the education service candidates positions, but in many, probably the mayor and the councils and townships, trustees, all have an opportunity for write-in. Stay tuned to what all the write-in. There were 172 write-ins in the primary in September here for Toledo when they voted, just Toledo. That's a lot of write-ins. So, but this is what the ballot looks like. So now let's go and take a look at how you can find out about your candidates. So, okay, I don't know what happened where I couldn't pick from. Bear with me, it's one of those things that worked well the other day, but I'm not sure I know how to do it. I'm getting to it though. So now we're gonna take a look at how do we look to see who the candidates are, and what do they want us to know? In other words, the voter guide group sent out questionnaires to most of the candidates, not every single one, but they sent it out to a lot of them. Not every candidate replied, but the ones who did have their information in Vote 411. And so we're going to look at that. You can go to this as just vote 411. Okay, vote 411. I never remember, is it .org? Or you can do it through the League's website. So this is the League's website. And if you scroll down, you'll see here's Vote 411. So I'm going to put in a Toledo address here. And we're going to take a look at what does that look like. So for those of you who are voting in Toledo, you will see what the voter guide looks like for that. You'll see that there's the judge of municipal court, and it's one person, and the candidate had not responded. So we obviously sent some information to this person. They chose not to respond. It's their prerogative, okay? Go back up here to view my races, and let's take a look at the mayor. So here's the mayor and the 2 candidates that are running for mayor. And you'll see that they both replied. And this is what they said. They gave a biographical information. And then they answered, we had 2 questions that we sent. What experiences have you had that will enable you to fulfill this office's responsibilities? And each of them replied. And then the second question is, what are your highest priorities when you are elected, and how will you accomplish them? So again, they both replied to that. So this is each voter's really obligation to kind of know what's going on if you haven't gotten a chance to hear them. Go back up to the top here. Now let's take a look at Toledo City Council. There's a lot of people running for City Council. And so all of the names are here. And what's nice about this is you have to go through, you can go through each one and take a look at the information, but you don't have to. I mean, or you can pick and choose who you want to go through. So let's take a look at Katie Malone. And as soon as I clicked on one, see where the compares pop up? So now down here is what Katie Malone replied to when we set out the voter guide questions. So let's compare her to George Saranto, okay? So I click on him, and now wait a minute, I didn't hit compare. Okay, when I hit compare, now I see both of them together. I think you can only do 2 at a time, but that's basically how that works. And you can look at any one of these. Some of the people did not reply. You can see who didn't reply. You can see who did reply. It's really a very easy and user-friendly way to read about the candidates that are on your ballot. And with this, using it this way, all of my races are listed here, and along with the issues. So it's mayor, council, and the municipal court. And then you'll see that there's some other candidates down here. So you can take a look at this at your leisure and get to read whatever's interested there. I think that was what I wanted to share. Oh, let me share a couple more things. So here's what happens when a candidate runs. The candidate has to circulate a petition and has to get a certain number of eligible voters. You can't sign a petition for a candidate if you're not a registered voter, right? So each candidate circulates a petition when they want to run for an office. And that petition then, once they gather their signatures, is turned into the Board of Elections. There are deadlines for that. And so consequently, people really do scurry around. And we see a lot of pending candidates, which means, I don't know, maybe they said they wanted to apply, but then they never, I don't know what that's all about. I spoke with a gentleman who ran in a primary. He needed to have 250 signatures on his, he was running for city council or council at large, I'm not sure which one. He got 400 signatures. But one of the things that was interesting to me is that if a person signs a petition and they're not giving you the address that they are registered at, it does not qualify. He went and looked up the 400 people that he got to sign his petition. He only had 275 legitimate signatures, which was enough because he only needed 250. Each candidate, the types of candidates are different numbers of people and that you need to have on your petition. For the issues, on the other hand, if it's a citizens initiative, then the petitions, and the league has done a lot of those over the years. If it's a citizens initiative, then we have petition and we have to have X number of signatures. It's a percentage of what the gubernatorial, it's a percentage of the number of people that voted in the gubernatorial last election or the last gubernatorial election. And so it varies. It's going to vary every time you're going to do it because the number of people who voted varies. So if it's a citizen initiative, it's a petition that needs to be required. If it's an entity like city council or whatever, it doesn't require the petition. So my understanding from Tim Monaco at the Board of Elections is none of the issues on our ballot this time were citizens initiatives. And so they came from entities, which that makes sense. They all look like that. So that's how issues get on the ballot. And then the board of election members certify all the candidates and all the issues before they ever go on the ballot. And the Secretary of State has a lot of directives that he puts together for the various county boards of elections. And there's a requirement, there's even an order of how things go on the ballot. So the last meeting we were at, they had a stack of all the ballots. It was a couple inches high. And the board members went through the ballots. And you'll notice on the ballot, there's a signature for each board member. They didn't sign every single one, but they did review all the ballots, all the various ballots. Remember I said there's 313 precincts in Lucas County, and there's a little under 100 voting locations. So each voting location will have anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 precincts. It depends on the number. Each precinct cannot have more than 1,400 voters in it. So they just added a new precinct. I'm not sure what that was all about. We used to have 312 and now we have 313. So that's kind of basically an overview of what's on the ballots and kind of how they got there. It takes a lot of time and effort. So I have a lot of respect for the Board of Elections. They have a lot of work to do. So I'm going to stop now and then see if there are questions. And if I can't answer them, maybe somebody else in the group can. And if not, then we'll find out. Because you know what? Being a member of the league, one thing it's taught me is we're always learning. There's just so much out there that we just don't know. And so I'll stop now and see if there's questions.
Barb, thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions. First, how can homeless folks vote at early voting center if they do not have proof of residency and no driver's license?
Excellent question. So they registered, obviously. And if you don't have identification at early voting center, then you will fill out a form that looks much like your voter reg form, which basically asks you for the last 4 digits of your social. Since they don't have a driver's license, that's not an option. And the address that they registered at, because they had to have an address when they registered. And sometimes they're using a facility or a family member's, address. Whatever they registered at, they'll fill out that form and then they will be able to vote at early voting. On election day, it may, that's going to be harder. So we kind of encourage people to go to early voting. We have been known to tell people, and I for one have done the same thing. If you don't have identification, go to early voting, they won't require it. But last year when I did early voting in the general, they asked me for identification. But I said, we tell people that they don't need it. And they say, oh, if you don't have it, then we give you this form and you fill out this form and then you can vote. So when we say that to people, we need to let them know that if they don't have identification, they will still be able to vote. Does that answer that question for whoever asked?
Yes. So the next question is, for people who moved but still show up to vote and re-register, does it matter if they show up at the new precinct or the old precinct?
Well, I would encourage, and this is based on, I've done ride to the polls over the years, and the people who kind of give us our work have said that they send people to the new precinct that you're going to be at. Let's say you registered on October the 7th, so it was afterwards. The Board of Elections sends out a card within hopefully a couple of weeks as to where your voting location is. But if you go online and check to see if your registration got in there, you can see where that precinct is. I would suggest if they have the opportunity to go to their new precinct where they are living, the one that's for where they're living now. The question I guess I have, if they went to the old, what would happen? I know last year I took somebody and they went to the new precinct and they got registered. And this lady happened to be a previous poll worker. I felt really so bad that but she did, her vote got counted. She did a provisional and her vote got counted.
Okay. Thank you. And then there's another question. Can you talk about Ohio House Bill 435? Where can League of Women Voters info be found?
I'm not sure which House bill that is. I didn't bone up on that. It's not on the ballot.
Which one is that?
And so I can only say the best thing if you're looking for that is there's a if the League of Women Voters of Ohio are doing anything with it, there may be something on their website, but I'm not clear on what part of their website to go to. If this person has any contact, we have Munia, Mustafa, and Nazek at the state league, and they would be able to tell you. And I could easily get their email to people. If I had that question, that's what I'd be doing, is asking them, and then they'll send information out.
Okay, we
'Cause
have
that's a state issue.
another input is that these individuals could reach out to their representative's office.
True. Very good, very good. Yeah, if it's a House bill, then the House representatives, whoever your representative is, reach out to them or anybody in the House.
Okay. What was that House bill? 435. 435. Are there any other questions? Barb, we would like to thank you so very much. And don't go away, but we're going to stop the recording.
Okay, well, thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. I hope it was helpful.